We have an update to the open marriage regret post from a couple of days ago. Before we get to the update, let's just revisit some of the post. He asked the question, is my wife going to leave me? He says, hi everyone, I need some outside perspective on something that's been sitting in my head. My wife and I have been married for 12 years and we have a 10-year-old daughter. We're a good team and communicate well, but our sex life has gotten stale this past year, which I know is pretty common after a decade of marriage, especially with kids, busy jobs, and me traveling a lot for work. Back in June, we both agreed we wanted to bring some spark back. We tossed around the idea of an FFM threesome. We downloaded apps like Tinder and Bumble looking for a bi woman, and after a while, we eventually found a 43-year-old woman who seemed keen. Before doing this post, I did not know that the letters of FFM, I didn't know that the order meant something, that the letter in the middle is the person that is the focus. So the wife is the focus. I didn't know that. I was educated on that. Thank you for educating me. All right, so they found a woman that was keen, and then they hooked up. He says, we met her at the bar first to see if there was some chemistry, and there was. We all kissed outside, then headed back to ours for drinks. Things moved to the bedroom. At first, there was the usual awkwardness, but it quickly felt natural and intimate. I finished way earlier than they did, and they asked if it was okay to keep going without me since they hadn't finished. I said yes. I wanted my wife to enjoy herself too. I did do bits here and there, but they kept going for almost 3 hours. Halfway through, I went downstairs to watch a movie. Quite recently, we hooked up again, but this time I felt different. The other woman was more focused on my wife, and my wife was giving her equal energy back. I wasn't ignored completely, but it felt like their connection was the main event, and I was more like the side dish. I know I finished early, but I can't help thinking they genuinely wanted to be near each other in a way that went beyond just sex. So that's just a review. Let's jump into the update. This one's titled, Talk to My Wife About Our Threesome. He says, hi everyone, me again, 44-year-old man. Yesterday, I made a post about feeling insecure after the FFM threesome with my wife and the other woman. A lot of people told me to talk to her, so I did. We sat down for a long, honest conversation today. I told her I felt a bit left out and wondered if she actually liked the other woman in a deeper way. She listened carefully, held my hand, and told me she loves me and isn't going anywhere. She also admitted that because they spent more time together after I left, she grew connected to her sexually. She had multiple orgasms and was intensely pleasured in ways that were new to her. She was really open and even got a little teary talking about how much she felt wanted and desired. She told me she appreciated that I made space for her to explore this side of herself that wasn't planned, and it made her feel closer to me too, not less. This paragraph tells me a whole lot. She had multiple orgasms and was intensely pleasured in ways that were new to her. And then it says, admitted that because they spent more time together, she grew connected to her. This is a lot deeper than this man knows, and I believe that he is in trouble based on that paragraph alone. Hearing her say all that was kind of hard to process. I'm happy she felt pleasure and confidence, but part of me still wonders, was there something she found with her that she's been missing with me? Yes. I know she reassured me and I trust her, but it's a lot to take in. Yes, she's told you that she felt things that she has never felt, like legs were shaking, she was growling, she's like walking on clouds and everything. Yes, you have not been giving that to her. He says, I love my wife and I want us to grow. I want us to keep growing. I just need help processing how her enjoyment of someone else fits into the bigger picture. You're going to keep on being the side dish in this arena. If she found someone to give her pleasure, it's going to be hard to go back to that stale, whatever you were serving up, those quickies and that staleness that where she wasn't getting anything out of it. It's going to be hard to go back to that. Something funny about this man in posting all this. He reposted that update in the bisexual subreddit, Talk to My Wife About Our Threesome. He also made a post in the Late Bloomer Lesbians asking, is my wife a late bloomer? The first post he posted in guy cry and swingers and surviving infidelity. The surviving infidelity part is weird to me because she wasn't being unfaithful. They decided this together. It's infidelity if she's going behind his back. I don't even know why he posted that in the surviving infidelity subreddit. Let's jump into some of these comments. My real account says she grew connected to her sexually, saying cough, cough, emotionally. Then this person says, dude, I can have multiple orgasms with my hand, but it will never be a substitute for the emotional connection with my wife. Hence my strong preference for and need to sleep with my wife and not just jerk off for the rest of my life. Every single time you let your wife F someone else, you run a huge risk of her falling in love with them. Orgasms are really cool and all, but it's the emotional connections and love that is the issue here. Your wife is already gaslighting you. Wake up. Honestly, how are so many grown-ups this clueless? What do you think about that comment from my real account? Tell me in the comments. Panda98 says, a comment in the first post said it best. He outsourced his wife's intimacy to someone else and is surprised that he feels insecure about it. Everything was well and good when he would finish early and he'd leave the room, but he's surprised that his wife connects with the person who pays attention to her. Virus True says, and the only thing the wife is appreciating at this point is that he has given her the space to explore her sexuality. So if he takes that back now, she's going to be resentful. Panda says, this is only going to end with one or both of them feeling resentful. OP, if this keeps going on and his wife ends up falling for someone else, and his wife should OP want to pull the plug on the whole thing, she is going to get resentful. She's getting some pleasure and then dude wants to just snatch that away. Halloween's Queen says, because for some weird reason, people want to believe they are entitled or beyond jealousy. Where the F this stupid concept came from, I don't know. But I love all these posts have the theme, I want to be closer to you, so let's F other people and mean it over being sarcastic. Kinslayer says, I just want to say that after opening our relationship, my wife and I have actually gotten closer, in large part because it has exposed issues in our relationship and insecurities we each have that we've had to work through. That process isn't always easy, but it genuinely can improve a relationship if you come into it with the right mindset. This person, Kinslayer, is being downvoted all over the place, but he gave his perspective. Emergency at the bottom says, just imagine how close you could have been if you actually talked to each other about stuff without adding entirely other relationships to take up your time and emotional energy. And then the Powers Cat Bee says, hey man, I just wanted to say thanks for sharing your experience despite the downvotes, which I suspect are largely the product of the subreddit we're in. I imagine your situation is more the exception than the rule, but I'm glad you're doing well. And then Kinslayer says, thanks, I figured it probably wasn't going to be the most well received, but wanted to share anyway. I genuinely don't care what anyone else thinks of my marriage, but I do wish that polyamory was more accepted and less taboo for those of us who enjoy it. We may be the exception rather than the rule, although I know plenty of other happy poly couples, so we're far from alone, but it works for us. And he got downvoted 5 times. So yes, this is probably not the right sub for that, but I did want to share that experience because it is not what we typically see in this subreddit. I'm going to end it there, but I do want to invite you to join the conversation and let me know what you think of all of this. This 20-something woman posted in the What Should I Do subreddit. She asked the question, what should I do about this conversation with my boyfriend? She gives us 3 sets of screenshots. Before the text messages, let's look at the caption. She's 26, he's 24. She says, for context, I and my kind of boyfriend have been together for 4 years. We have a 3-year-old and some animals. We live on our own. We both work full-time and we have full-time daycare. We've been separated a few times. I've broken up with him and had him move out due to him not communicating with me, shutting down when having serious conversations, him taking his issues out on me when I thought genuinely things were fine, and him not really helping with our child. He used to play video games all the time, but has actually cut back after all this time. He complains about having to change a poopy diaper or doing the dishes or simply taking the dog out. We are not currently living together full time. I just feel really manipulated and confused. He comes back after disappearing for a week or two and does things for me without asking. I start letting him in again after a while, and it feels like he slips back into this, why do I have to do this? I work full time, so why do I have to? Why can't you? But I also work and go to school. I just don't really know how to respond to this and what to say anymore. Okay, let's look at the text messages. He's in the gray. He says, do you just want me not to come over? Like, what the F is your deal, actually? I didn't do effing anything to you yesterday, and you just started treating me like poop. So what is it? And she says, I just needed some space. She says, I just don't see things changing with you, and it sucks and it frustrates me because I try so hard and hope that it will. And time again, you show me that you're selfish and you yell at me and you put me down when I'm not even doing anything. And he says, what did I do that was selfish? Like, I'm not trying to argue. I just want to know what I did that set you off. She says, you pick and choose where it's most convenient for you to be at. You expected me to make you dinner the other night when you made it seem you were only coming by for a few. And you made me feel like for not making you a plate, like make your own plate. Made a big deal about taking blank out. Maybe that's the dog. Made a big deal about taking the dog out while I was at the grocery store as well. And then text me yesterday, you aren't really planning to come over. Wasn't expecting you to, just to find out you were at some random effing barbecue with blank and his mom. Like, it must be nice to pick and choose where you get to go and not have the responsibility of having to worry about their child. You also made plans for the bar Friday without even saying, hey, is this cool? I was invited, but wanted to make sure blank, their child, was taken care of, and if you wanted to go before I say yes. And then rushed me to get the Volvo okay, so now she's just, penciling in all of the bullet points of the things that she has issues with. I'm going to skip some of this. I think this woman typed too much. I think if she just put this part that I've put underneath these yellow lines, that would have been enough. She says, honestly, you barely make a difference in my life besides helping me pay bills. I still have to clean, cook, and take care of the animals and their child. To hear you complain about how you have to help me when asked to do things. So she's saying you're basically a third child. You're a second child. You're a liability because I have to beg and plead for you to do things. And that is one of the biggest issues that I am seeing women have in these relationships with these people. And the reason why I say I think she typed too much is because I highly doubt that he read that and was going to be reflective of everything she typed out. Here's his response. He says, okay, it seems you look at things a lot differently than I do and don't seem to take a step back to realize all the stuff I sacrificed for you and the child, as well as before you start saying all this stuff. And secondly, you effing left me. The F you mean I get to decide where I stay and all this stuff and have no responsibility. I have tons of effing responsibilities still. So don't come at me effing sideways because I complained about working 10 hours in almost 100-degree effing weather and didn't want to take the effing dog out, or the fact that I did effing invite you to the bar, and yeah, I didn't want to go to the effing wedding, but guess what? I still did, just like you did with poker. Like the F you going on about. So, like I said, she typed up all of that, and he's like, why are you doing all this talking? I work. Why do I have to take the dog out? They just don't seem compatible, but also they're in their early 20s. They've been together for 4 years. Maybe they're just at a crossroads. And also, like I said before, many of these people don't feel like they have to have any of the responsibilities with taking care of the house, the kids, the animals, or any of that. She has the uterus. She's supposed to take care of all of that stuff. His only responsibility is to go to work. That is what they have been socialized to believe. Hyrith Witch says he wants a mother, not a girlfriend. You deserve better, and you and your child both will be happier without him. And then Afternoon says this. And then It's M says she isn't mature either. Reddit seems to only say leave. At this particular point, they should leave. They shouldn't be together. They don't seem compatible. So why go through all of this? Advantage Visual says it's better to be two separate immature individuals than to be together ruining each other's and their kids' life. You can't grow together when you're both intent on blaming each other. Also, he sounds like such a D. Immediate Falcon says, it's time to get a man instead of Peter Pan. This isn't someone who wants a relationship that's more work than physical, nor a family. Get custody paperwork ASAP. You'll absolutely regret skipping that if you just try to make it an out-of-court agreement. Edit. You and your kid deserve better. Believe him when he has shown you and told you who he is. Here's the OP saying, thank you for pointing that out. I honestly never thought of it that way. You're right, and I'm going to start putting a plan in place. The custody paperwork is so important, and she needs to do a 50-50 split and make him be a father, make him check all the way in, because she's going to school and working full time as well. So she should not be burdened, because he'll give like $300, $400 a month, but that is not enough. He needs to be doing more with his time instead of just popping in periodically to say, hey, daddy's home. Absolutely not. And I say that because she hasn't indicated that he's violent or anything like that. So he needs to be checked in and doing his part in being a father. Prudent Okra says, you're 26. I would go from a kind of boyfriend to just a full-on boyfriend. Next time he does this disappearing act, move to another state. Who just tells people to move to another state like they could just uproot their life? She says, sadly, I can't just move like that because of school and obligations. But yeah, it isn't fair that he gets to disappear without asking to even see his child. I would like to be more settled and feel like I'm in a never-ending cycle with him. Maybe she meant to say, feel like I am not in a never-ending cycle with him. Tough Try says, you are in a never-ending cycle. This guy has proven to you repeatedly, if you stay with him, he will pull the same stuff over and over. He is not getting better. Your relationship isn't getting better. You've done your due diligence. You can stop trying. The only way out of this cycle is to leave the cycle. And that's what the person at the bottom says. Go to court and demand 50-50 custody. Demand 50-50 custody so he has his time. It is on the books. He's supposed to have the kid every other week. So do that. That way he can just stop this cycle. She can stop this cycle. Unless she does want to move out of the state eventually. Here's the OP right here. She says, okay, so answering some questions. Yes, broken up, and he runs to his friend's house to stay there and basically doesn't call or text. Doesn't ask to see our child, and then after will come asking. He will come over and do things that I don't ask him to, like take out the trash or doing the dishes or changing our child's diaper. Do all of the things I was asking and will slowly start going after me again, buying me gifts and things. The behavior changes though after a few months, and he goes right back to the usual behavior, and by then I've let him back in. Our child sees him home and we've grown comfortable again. So it's kind of become this cycle of this. I feel truthfully love bombed and was just looking for some advice because he's great at making me feel like I'm the problem. I also don't have a problem with him going out. It's the fact that he just does things without checking in first. If I went out, I would have to check and make sure our child is taken care of before I can plan anything. And this does sound like a cycle that's not going to get better. He does love bomb her, get back in her good graces, and then relaxes and stops doing the things. So she is recognizing what's going on. And I'm glad that she has typed this out because now she has clarity to see what is going on, and that hopefully she will stop all of this, stop this cycle. Join the conversation and let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This is the story of a woman having a mental health breakdown, and it also seems like there is a breakdown of her marriage. So I'm not sure if this is a chicken and the egg situation or a bad marriage exacerbating her mental health issues. But she says in the relationship advice subreddit, my husband staged an intervention after I told him I wanted a divorce. She's 32, he's 36, they've been married for 6 years. Let's jump into the post. She says, I've been married to my husband for 6 years. It's my first serious relationship. I love him. He's funny, charming, and intelligent, and we share a lot. But he's always been a little hot-headed. Some context first. A few months ago, a situation at work went badly, and I fell into the burnout. I'm autistic, and the burnout has made my executive dysfunction much worse. I've been on sick leave ever since. I have very little energy. Even basic things leave me exhausted. I sleep a lot, socialize very little, skip meals. I know it's bad, but I'm doing my best. My husband has been very frustrated that I'm not respecting his needs. We don't have sex. I don't cook every day, and the house isn't as tidy as he'd like it. Multiple times I didn't take care of things while he was at work, so he yelled at me. Others, I made him ignore me for hours. I tried to explain that I was struggling too much, and he replied that I was using my situation and exaggerating my symptoms for attention. I tried to push myself to meet his needs and keep up with the house, but every time I quickly got too tired and had to stop. I tried to tell him, but he said he didn't want to hear it because he has enough on his plate. I never know if I'm going to make him angry. I have been crying almost every day, and I don't know if it's the burnout or if it's because I can't be there for him. I felt like it would be better for both of us to take a break. He refused and said that as his wife, it was my legal duty to be there in sickness and in health. 2 weeks ago, I finally told him I wanted a divorce. He had a meltdown and yelled for hours, saying I was just confused because of my mental health. He apologized later and said I shouldn't act irrational like that. I hesitated for a few days and told him I still wanted to leave, and he had another meltdown. Yesterday, I woke up and went downstairs to find my husband, his parents, and my parents all waiting for me. They said they were extremely worried that they never get news except from my husband. He reported to them that he was scared for me because I was isolating and harming myself. They told me it was okay to need help, that I needed stability. They said they were all there for me no matter what. I cried the entire time. I felt cornered, humiliated, and defensive. I felt like that was not normal, but now I don't know what to think. After they left, he said he contacted my GP and psychologist to let them know how bad it is and booked an appointment with a psychiatrist on my behalf. He said they all care about me and want to help me be myself again. Part of me still wants to leave, but another part of me wonders if they're right. I still love him, and I'm definitely not at my most stable right now. I'm in the fog. To be honest, I feel really selfish and guilty about all of this. I am completely overwhelmed. Could you guys give me an outside perspective on this? She says, edit. Thanks everyone. So many replies. I'm grateful. I can't answer everyone right now, but I can give a few thoughts and info. I see my GP every 2 weeks. I was on Cipralex, but we had to stop because of the side effects. Now we're trying mirtazapine. I already seen a therapist before a few weeks ago, and my husband called her and my GP yesterday to tell them I needed help before booking the appointment with the psychiatrist he found. I'll go to the appointments and give them my perspective. I have an okay relationship with my parents. They see me as fragile and don't always understand the autism. I think I will try to talk to them about what's going on and ask if I can stay with them temporarily and get better before deciding on the divorce. I'll rest for now. This is a lot to take in. Thanks, everyone. I'm convinced this is how men had their wives committed back in the day or lobotomized. She already said she's autistic and she's having a mental health crisis and burnout from work. So he expects her to come in and instead of resting and healing, to still do everything precisely like a wife appliance is supposed to do, but she hasn't yet healed. So yes, like a normal wife appliance that isn't malfunctioning or on the fritz would be keeping house and doing all of these things. And he's expecting her to just jump right back into that, those roles right there. And she's not operating as a wife appliance should. So he's hollering at her, and the stress of those expectations and the hollering is not helping her mental health. So then on top of that, he is bombarding her with this intervention. And it says in here, or she says in here, that her parents are only getting his perspective because she hasn't communicated well with the parents. But also she says that her parents didn't understand autism, so probably did not give her the proper tools to be able to manage her mental health as parents. So they didn't set her up to begin with that well. That's the reason why when I was talking at the beginning, I said, is this a mental health crisis and it's just being exacerbated by the husband? Or is all of her mental health issues causing the deterioration of her marriage? I do think it's the beginning one. I think that if she had a supportive partner that understood what her mental burnout was doing to her, maybe it would help her heal more. But this is only making her even more fragile. If there's any kind of way that this marriage will be saved, it will have to be she will go away, get healthy first, and then try to come back to this situation. If he is actually a loving, caring partner, he would understand that. Dystopium says, just talk to a psychiatrist, then decide. They can help you more than Reddit. And then SFB says, yes, but explain what's going on with his behavior. And then Rock Dress says, I have a feeling a lot of the burnout comes from trying to cater to this husband. I agree that OP should have care, but getting away from husband like that might be a big part of turning things around. Ellie says, I agree. OP, it sounds like your parents care about you. Call them, thank them for the concern they showed, and ask for help. Tell them you're having marriage problems as well as mental health problems, and ask if you can stay with them for a bit while you figure things out. Then find a therapist, not necessarily a psychiatrist, to help you. OP, you need some distance from your husband. He's not helping. The person at the bottom says, I disagree. She's a mess, and her version of the truth could be greatly off. You need to take a neutral stance until you understand what the truth really is. But it's not like you're going to get the husband's side. We only see her side. And even her side seems like it is trying to bring in the different sides. She's not talking to make herself look better or anything. And I read this as she's a relatable, or she's a reliable narrator. That's what I was trying to say, a reliable narrator. Look, as Nicole says, I agree, especially considering his interpretation of the in sickness and in health parts of the vow is that apparently she should continue to support him through her sickness and health. Mission Honeydew says, in all my decades on this planet, I've never heard anyone interpret that phrase in that fashion. Like, I'm sorry, what? It means you support her when she's having health issues, not that she keeps waiting on you hand and foot while her mental health burns out. And that's what Nicole says exactly. His interpretation is so backwards. All right, I'm going to end it there. I want your interpretation. What do you think of this story? Join the conversation. Give me your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This clip is hysterical, and I had to mute the music because it has copywritten music, but I wanted to share this. She's showing how men pose with their fish, and she's doing it with knitted socks. In the comments, I will go ahead and leave the clip so you can watch her on TikTok and you can see it with the music that she provides. Go ahead, join the conversation though, and let me know what you think.